A new man, a new hope, Germany under Jürgen Klopp. That rhymes a little bit. Germany under Jürgen Klopp. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Blue Gaffer FC. Welcome to another video theme of international football and our sort of World Cup setup. Let's review Germany. And Germany was always a video that I had planned on my list to make a video about. They were one of the nations I wanted to cover. I expected them to get further. Instead, I'm doing a review of their shock exit, but also of a very interesting circumstance. Julian Nagelsmann is set to leave, and at the time of recording this, it's not yet official, but at the time that you're watching this video, maybe Jürgen Klopp is indeed officially instated as the Germany's manager, head coach, whatever you want to call it. That new chapter starts now. Let me know your thoughts. If you're from Germany, I have a huge sense of respect for you because I actually lived in Germany for 2 years, when I was 2 years old to when I was 4 years old. And apparently when I was a kid, when I was sort of 4 or 5 years old, I spoke fluent German. Do I remember that? No, but that's what my parents told me. So at a point in time, I did very much associate myself with my country of Germany. My mum worked there. We lived in München, essentially where Bayern Munich are. And I have a great deal of respect for Germany as a nation and as a country and as a language that apparently somewhere in my brain I used to speak, even though I don't know how. If there's any scientists or psychologists that can explain how on earth that works in my brain, please do. But let's get started without dwelling too much on my past. So let's review Germany at this World Cup. You know what? When I watched Germany's opening 2 games, I was excited. I really, really thought Julian Nagelsmann has got Germany back because they demolished Curacao. And fair play to Curacao, by the way. And if you're from Curacao or you'd like to see a video about Curacao, they are one of the nations I am debating whether or not to do a video on before the World Cup closes or within a week of the World Cup finishing, where the attention on the World Cup and international is still there before my channel transitions into, it's like a Netflix channel. We've got season 1 is the World Cup. Season 2 is going to be club football, largely about Chelsea, being a Chelsea fan, Premier League, Champions League, etc., and some gaming content. But if you'd like to see a video on Curacao, do let me know. Anyway, it was a historic moment when Curacao made it 1-1 against Germany. And I was scratching my head thinking to myself, surely not. Surely Germany are going to get this over the line. And they do. And they really, really did. And they went all the way and smashed them. They then go on to face Ivory Coast in a game where they dominated and controlled the game, struggled to find the winning goal, but eventually did. And you're looking at that 6 points out of 6 within 2 games. They've accomplished the job. And okay, you could argue on paper that's a minimum expectation. Sure, I agree. But they did the job. Against Ecuador, they had the opportunity to rest players because the game meant nothing because they had already finished with top of the group. They didn't rest players, though. Arguably, Germany still played some of their strongest players, if not majority of their strongest players, against Ecuador. And they lost the game. And I think that was a really difficult moment because had Julian Nagelsmann, for example, look at Norway. He rested players against France. They then won in the round of 32. They then won in the round of 16 and narrowly lost to England. And that video is on my channel as well, surrounding the England-Norway game and my semi-final World Cup predictions. But they lost that game. And then you're thinking Paraguay. Germany must advance to the round of 16. And they have a really, really poor game against Paraguay. Really poor game. A boring game. They aren't able to penetrate the low block. They aren't able to have any attacking patterns, any combination play, or any attempt to really cause Paraguay problems. Paraguay go 1-0 up. And at halftime, 50, 55, 60 minutes into the game, you're really worried for Germany. Then they score. They go to extra time. They have chances. They actually score a second, which is disallowed. You can argue fairly unfairly. But I've spoken about this so many times on my channel, and this is where a little bit I offer a unique perspective as someone who has worked and currently works as a football coach under the UEFA Coaches Convention. Moments decide the game. Moments decide the game. And when I coach my teams, I always tell them about moments. It's the most important thing. Because we can train the tactics in the whole week in the build-up. We can talk about what the other team might or might not do. We can talk about our strengths and our weaknesses. But moments decide the game. Not necessarily what you do all the week in training. Are you going to have one player who's going to score a screamer to win you a game? Are you going to have a lucky referee in decision? Are you going to have your goalie produce some incredible saves? Moments decide games. in knockout football, especially at the very, very, very highest level. I've experienced that positively, winning big games. I've experienced that negatively as a coach, losing in crucial games. And every single time I lost, it was usually because of moments. Sometimes you have a heavy defeat, so you can say, well, how is it moments if you lost by 2, 3, or 4 goals? No, but it still is, because one moment or 2 moments can be the consequence of a lot of further actions in the game. So it's about mentality, resilience, so many other things. And that's where I sell myself a little bit, that I give you a perspective that probably no one else does on YouTube. I don't know how many UEFA A coaches, candidate coaches are YouTubers as well as football coaches. Probably not that many. So I give a little bit back in terms of content creation. And they lost that game to Paraguay, not with a good performance. And that essentially ended the road for Julian Nagelsmann, because I think as soon as that happened, even though he said himself that he wants to work, he's committed to the federation to build in the next project, Euro 2028, Nations League, the next World Cup. I think you always have to bring one man in. And he's to my left, and he's there. He's there. Right there. No, that's Nagelsmann. How do I point to Klopp? I don't know how to do that because the camera's reversed. You get what I mean. There he is. So what's Germany actually going to look like under Jürgen Klopp? Well, it's going to be a 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3 system. We know that. Not too different from what Germany has been like under Julian Nagelsmann. But we know what Jürgen Klopp brings. He brings heavy metal football, high press, relentless counter-pressing, fast transition, overloads, intensity, and mentality. And I thought when Klopp announced his retirement, I was actually upset. My mum's a big Jürgen Klopp fan. He's such a good coach, such a good manager, such a good passion, such a good personality. Spoken about this in one of the shorts where I talk about English coaches and their lack of this European personality, this positive ego that I always refer to it in coaching, because they're too afraid of what the English FA might or might not do or might think of you. It's not about being afraid. It's not about what external people think of you. It's about knowing you're good at what you do. Otherwise, you're not going to have success. And this is what Jürgen Klopp does. His philosophy is man-to-man high presses, the demands that he puts on his team within that tactical approach and adaptability. Different to what if you watched my Uruguay video on Bielsa, and if you haven't, check it out. It's the recent video before this one. Bielsa's very full on. So is Jürgen Klopp, but he's also adaptable and flexible and modern in the sense that he knows when to say, all right, pause. We're going to drop a little bit. I want to play in this way, but today we can't because of X, Y, and Z, or because of moments, whatever it might be. He has that adaptability. And the question is, the Nations League is his next target, the Euros, the World Cup. Can they perform better than the last 3 World Cups? Well, it's 2 group stage exits and around a 32 exit. I think they have to. Look at this squad. Havertz, Sane, Musiala, Wirtz, Kimmich, Goretzka, Tah, Rudiger, ter Stegen, Raum, Leimer, and more players that are probably going to come in over the next 4 years for Germany. I mean, this squad, I'd argue, is better than the current Spanish team that's in the semi-final. They're better than Morocco, who's achieved a quarter-final. They're better than Norway, who's achieved a quarter-final. They're better than Brazil. They have so many players that all play in the top 5 leagues, that all start in the top 5 leagues for the biggest clubs in those top 5 leagues. It's almost, I don't think it's even not possible for Germany to not have some sort of reasonable level of success, especially under a manager like Jürgen Klopp. And if there's any Liverpool fans out there, please do comment. Maybe you have more understanding of Klopp and how he does things and different ways that he approaches games and how he gets his teams to play. I know as a Chelsea fan, I always dreaded playing Jürgen Klopp's Liverpool because I always knew it was going to be a difficult game. So that's my take on it. A little bit of a shorter video than my other videos. Obviously, a brief review and a preview into life under Jürgen Klopp. Not going to spend too much time. I do want to talk to you guys. Next on the channel is going to be my World Cup 2026 final review. That's going to be the next video on the channel. I'll put my face in full screen. I've just realized it's very, very blurry. I think the screen that I use behind me has made my face not very hasty. I apologize for that. But the next video on the channel is going to indeed be our 2026 World Cup final preview and obviously semi-final review. After that, I'm going to be reacting to all of my World Cup predictions, which is the first video on the channel. So check it out before my probably hilarious failures in some aspects. And then we move into club football. So there's going to be discussions around the Premier League, around Chelsea, around the Champions League, still some nation breakdowns. I think by the time we hit August, I would have covered 20 out of the 48 nations at this World Cup in the space of 6 weeks, 6.5 weeks. I think that's one hell of an achievement. And I'm really proud to have built this community with all of you. And I know my video, the semi-finals predictions video, got close to 1,000 views. And that's massive for me, my first 1,000 views. A TikTok video of mine got 14,500 views. So I've been consistent. If that earns me a subscription from you, I greatly appreciate it. Let me know what other nations and countries you want me to cover, what clubs you want me to cover, what other videos you want, because I'm here to share my insight on the football community, on the big competitions in the game. Couldn't get my words out there. Premier League, World Cup, Euros in 2028, Champions League. There's going to be Premier League predictions, Chelsea reviews, previews, Chelsea under Xabi Alonso, one of the first videos coming out after the World Cup season finishes. So there's a lot of football coming your way, guys. I'm not leaving, don't worry. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Like I say, slightly shorter than the others, but less content to get through in terms of Germany having a very early exit. Nothing you can really say apart from that was quite a big shock. But thank you for watching if you stayed till the end. If you did stay till the end, do me a favor, comment number 5, just randomly, just so I know who stayed till the end. And I'll see you guys on my next video. Please make sure you subscribe and join the Blue Gaffer FC community.